Just a few months ago, I had a life-changing discussion with my professor and advisor. She's a clarinetist, as am I, just without the decades of experience that she holds. We've worked together for about 6 years now, so if anyone is familiar with my antics, it would be her. I know when I step foot on any stage, she's gonna have a flabbergasted face waiting for me outside of the hall, not out of disappointment, but for my innate ability to give my all to a performance. I cannot say the same for a Tuesday morning lesson. The first question in said lesson won't be about my instrument, not about the music, not even if I'm prepared or not. She simply smiles and she asks you, "What's new?" She's made me feel comfortable enough to show up empty-handed. For better or worse, I know she's gonna understand that I'm not ready today. For whatever reason, I can't play. And that's exactly what happened last fall regarding a particularly bad Tuesday morning. I told her I thought about what she said regarding my graduate auditions. It's not going to be worth the time, effort, and money if I'm not practicing enough, if I don't start putting in more and consistent effort. Tough love, I know. It's what kept me coming back for 6 years. It was then that I told her I'd been diagnosed with carpal tunnel. Injuries of the sort are a bit of a taboo in our field, and the pain is something that I tried to keep hidden. Between a freshly healed boxer's fracture and strain from touring an instrument twice my size, yes, bigger than this one, I couldn't take an hour on my primary instrument, much less the 2 to 6 recommended to be successful. So last summer was one of loss for me, just not in the sense of death, more like a sense of self. I was burnt out, physically hurting, and mentally exhausted, but still making grand plans for my next performance, still trying to hide the pain. Fresh off the longest break, a mere 11 weeks, a little over 2 months, since I'd put the instrument together for the first time in middle school. The diagnosis was just an insult to injury. I felt defeated by my own body, by my mind, and by my seeming inadequacy. Dr. Kay Redfield Jamison discovers a similar experience in her memoir, An Unquiet Mind, discussing being a young girl with developing symptoms through her time as a scholar at UCLA, with fears of being discovered as mad. She went on to publish a study, Touched with Fire, exploring in a comprehensive overview, studying correlation between creatives and bipolar, like herself. At the time, it was termed manic depressive illness. These connections between temperament and imagination are actually well documented. Warning, no one would argue that all artists and writers are mad, or even most of them. The argument here is that a much higher than expected rate of bipolar, depression, and suicide exists in exceptionally creative artists. However bad, my struggles are not unique. But these emotions are never meant to be held. And despite my attempts to reason with sorrow, you're not meant to intellectualize them. So what do you do with this knowledge and this hurt? In his final philosophical work, The Passions of the Soul, Descartes writes and seeks to distinguish between the physical body and the mind, in it describing which functions belong to which, the impact of desire versus necessity. He creates 6 articles listing he creates articles listing 6 primitive passions: admiration, love, joy, desire, hatred, and sadness. He states that sadness, through pain, warns the body of what may be harmful, while joy, on the other hand, alerts us to what may benefit it. You must accept both good and bad circumstances with virtuousness and without expressing negativity, although I love to complain, in order to benefit from both good and bad situations. For through Stoicism, all that once was will be again. And it's realistic for me to say that I may never have a career performing once all is said and done. But I do have to keep in mind that my years are others' decades. Sometimes intentions don't mean much. And sometimes a misplaced moment of passion can mean irrevocable change. But through Stoicism, again, all that once was will be again. My selection for you tonight is a bit of a weird one. A selection from Bach's Flute Partita in A minor, being played on a bass clarinet. Odd, both because it doesn't really appear in clarinet repertoire, but also, as my colleagues will tell you, I'm not a fan of Bach. I also wasn't a fan of bass clarinet until I was forced to play it over and over again, and that is something that I accepted and learned to fall in love with. Similarly, Bach's Flute Partita is a piece that I fell in love with preparing an audition I didn't ever submit. But as the great philosopher Aristotle once said, one brief space in time and one moment cannot make a man blessed and happy. For one swallow does not make a summer.